So out of the box or out of the wall, whatever you want to call it, we have, boom, 28 weeks later. You know what? Days turns into weeks, weeks turns into months, months turns into years. But the problem is, we're not going to get a months. We're going to get a years sequel. This is directed by someone completely different, written by someone completely different from days and years. But is Weeks a pretty good film? Let's find out. Chase Lehocky here with the Blue Futon, reviewing 28 weeks later. So what's about pretty simple premise? Pretty simple. 28 weeks later from days later, and mainland Britain was completely quarantined, and now they're slowly letting people in because the U.S. Army is now kind of in charge because the U.K. is Dunskies. So slowly bringing them in. However, there's a dad who left a mother to die with the zombies, but she was bit. She has a immunity to it, but can infect other people. She infects the father, and just shenanigans ensues. So did I like this film? I thought it was pretty good. I think the third act does falter a little bit, but this does have Rose Barnes in it as Jeremy Renner as well. I wouldn't say they were famous in 2007, but you could tell they're slowly getting up in their ranks. Idris Elba makes I want to say a cameo, but he's in it as well, and other actors too. So this is another gritty movie, and this is kind of interesting because there's some people that love 28 Days Later, and some people hate 28 Days Later. And they hate 28 Days Later because of the shaky cam, how it looks like shit, but it's supposed to look that way. It's supposed to just look absolutely gritty. It's supposed to be that gritty WTF factor of like, where is everyone? The grindhouse, not like really grindhousey, but you know what I'm getting at, just the grainy look of it. This one, different director, different writers, and it does go that route. And I do appreciate just some of the shots in this movie, especially the very beginning where you can tell it's a nice drone shot or helicopter shot of just like following the zombies and the main guy. And this throughout the story. There's a lot of dilemmas in the script as well, which makes the audience think, is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is that a realistic thing? And I think majority of the movie can be realistic, except the third act, and we'll discuss that a little bit later. But dealing with the gore, the just bonkers of it, the pacing of this movie is a freaking breeze. At 100 minutes flat, so an hour and 40 minutes, it zooms by fantastically, and is very fun to watch because it's next. You have the snipers of the army, helicopter pilot, and enough good characters that you are intertwined into the relationships and intrigued about what they are going to do next. And I really dig that. I think the writing's pretty good. The directing's really good as well. He's Juan Carlos. I can't say his last name, but the last movie he did was Damsel for Netflix. Just FYI, just a little fun thing there. The look at the movie, like I said, you can kind of tell they are focusing more on the 28 Days Later aspect of it and having that kind of grittiness to an extent, but then also scaling it back when we're actually in the mainland Britain of getting like the snipers and the helicopter pilot, where you're kind of getting more of a scope. The most fun shot is the firebombing. I know that sounds awful, and yes, it's pretty much CG, but just how they decided to go through the city and go through the different streets and the buildings, the tunnels. It's just a really good shot overall of what the director was trying to portray of what it was occurring. What kind of rubs me the wrong way is the third act kind of gets rushed and unbelievable to an extent. Yes, I understand they're in quote-unquote code red. That means kill everyone. But when the people have the flamethrowers, right, and Jeremy Renner gets burnt to a crisp, shouldn't they know that a zombie wouldn't be pushing a stalled car? Like, there's just little elements to that where it's kind of, I want to say, the unbelievability goes down. Of course, it's a zombie movie, but to an extent, Code Red wouldn't be that extreme, in my opinion, where there would still be there's still the Geneva Convention. There is still a little bit of things where you got to figure things out to a point before you just, oh, this guy's pushing a car? Because when you get bitten or saliva, you turn within 10, 20 seconds tops. And you're just like, yeah, there's no way he would be a zombie. Also, I don't know. Like I said, maybe I need to re-look at the whole zombie lore of this one. Because most of the zombies are mostly, but the main guy that gets, infected by his wife is almost like an angry zombie that like gushes eyes out, that is on a more revenge trip and has a little bit more sane in his mind rather than being bitten. Maybe that's why it was more of a colossal type. It wasn't him being bitten, it was more of a saliva and just a slower transition, because everyone else that gets bitten in this movie is like, you get bitten, you're turning within the next 20 freaking seconds. Him was a little bit more elongated, more like a minute. So maybe there's something more of a psyche, and I think we're going to get something like that in the 28 years later. I mean, because you see that like arrow going through that one big ass monster or zombie, and you have that one crazy shot of like, on the zombie's back. We're really interested in where that's going to go. So that one, not just seeing the ending where Rose Barnes gets absolutely annihilated by the gun, and that's where I get kind of confused. Like, is this really a zombie or more of a mutant? Because if he's stealing that gun and like headbutting the living shit out of her face, you're just like, interesting of what this zombie / monster really is. And there is, like I said, a really rush, and like going down the escalator. Good God, that must hurt like a motherfucker. But come on, one step at a time, go slow. I know you're freaking out, but it just felt a little bit too much at the end, where there's like good character development and good character choices, but the last like 15 minutes, everyone just turns idiocracy to a point. But overall, 28 weeks later, I prefer 28 days later over 28 weeks later, but it is kind of a different movie, but in a good and bad way, because the first one's a gritty, grindhousey, low budget. Even though you say low budget, it's like still an $8 million to $6 to $8 million budget. This one's $15 million. I am intrigued where 28 years later is going to be, but overall, 28 weeks later, it does its job. There are flaws in the third act, but I still think it's a very solid zombie flick. So 28 weeks later, we'll receive a 3.5 out of 5 Futons, which equals at 70%. So let's see the critics' news scores gave this one. So you have critics a 72% with 196 of them. Audience score is 66% with over 250,000. Critic consensus, while 28 weeks later lacks a humanism that made 28 later's a classic. Ooh, calling it a classic. It's made up with fantastic atmosphere and punchy direction. I mean, I could agree with that critic consensus completely. 72, 70, 66. Chase Scott here with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. One of the things, Bluetontopia. You Blue Tony, and thank you for watching. For a great down watch this tape tomorrow, week from now, month, and a year from now. Every single freaking one of you. Peace and love, and don't get bit by those damn zombies.